So Ireland 57, Italy 6. Massive bonus point win for Ireland, of course, but the game is dominated by the red card and we'll come to that. But let's analyse the first bit of the game like a normal game. And 3 minutes in, Ireland score their first try and it's a great start. The new green machine is quick, it's slick, they go side to side, they try and recycle the ball crazy quick, loads of interplay, it's lovely to watch. And it's a classic new green machine attack that gets Carberry over 7-0. Very ominous for Italy that it's going to be a tough day, and it gets a lot harder, of course. But that's how Ireland play. Now, sides know how they play now, and they've got to try and stop them, which is really hard. But, one thing that Ireland do is, of course, they spread their players across the pitch to play this way. So if you can try and get in there with a turnover, slow the ball down, Ireland don't have huge numbers of players to pile into those rucks sometimes. So that's something sides are going to have a look at. Harder to stop, though, because if you go and try and resource a ruck, try and steal it, and Ireland get the ball away, they're off. So really tough to know when to stand off and when to go in. But anyway, they're off 7-0. And there's nothing really wrong with Italy's play. They've got good shape, good speed. They just don't have the penetration that Ireland do. And that's the same when they play all the sides, really. Look pretty good in defence and big hits, like I said, and they did that all game. So fair enough to Italy, but no, still not quite good enough, even in this opening exchange. And they make a little note here about their scrum half Varney, who I've been keeping an eye on all Six Nations. Doesn't quite look up to the standard of the other scrum halves. Was caught dozing twice in this opening 10 minutes already, which is something he's done previously. So a little bit unconvinced with him. But anyway, Padavani knocks over a monster 50-metre penalty. That was impressive. Good to have a long-range goal kicker. So they're on the board at least, 7-3. Now, then the big incident. Now on 16 minutes, oh no, Italy lose the game essentially with a red card for Fiver. Is it a red card? Well, yeah, probably. I mean, there's a bit of dipping from both sides, but ultimately, he has time to decide how he's going to tackle. He decides to stand up in the tackle, makes contact with the chin. It's a red card in the new interpretation of the law all the time. So that's just how it is. But he's not the only one to do it. Loads of players this weekend stand up in tackles and run that risk. And it's one of these things. Coaches are going to have to decide if it's worth the risk of standing up in the tackle, or do you need to go lower, which does mean the players can get their hands free. If you can stand up in a tackle, make the dominant hit and stay on your feet, it does help. But where does that risk reward come in? I really think, the onus is on coaches to tell players to tackle lower, because it's a choice. If you want to tackle low, most of the time you can tackle low. Anyway, pop the comments on there below. Now, that wasn't so much the controversy, whereas in previous games that probably would be. In this one, it was the fact that not only do they go down to 14 men, but they have to go down to 13 men. Now, it is unlucky in a way because their other hooker had to go off early. That's their hooker, Fiver, who's just gone off. They say there's no one else who can play hooker, which, maybe it's true, maybe that's not. But I don't think they realise that means they then have to take another player off to put a front rower on. The idea being that if you go to contested and it's your uncontested scrums even, and it's your fault, then you need to suffer a little bit more than just having 14 men and uncontested scrums, which could help you, to be honest. I think that's the easiest way to describe it. Let me know what you think of that law. I think it probably needs a bit of tweaking, because that seems just a bit too harsh, because the game is over. I mean, one red card and go to 13 men just seems too much of a sanction, even though I understand what they're trying to stop there with going to uncontested scrums. Anyway, I'm not sure how to cover the rest of the game. It's pretty much impossible. Italy, I think we're going to lose 15 versus 15. 15 versus 13 was impossible. And to be fair to Italy, I think they actually did pretty well, considering, and I think Ireland probably should have scored even more, even though they did score a hatful. Gibson Park, a simple inside ball from low, scores 14-3. And I've noted here the crowd is very flat. I do feel a bit sorry for those Irish fans going there for a great contest, and at this point they know it's pretty much over, and it's just how many tries can Ireland score. A couple of other things there. Jos van der Fleer has just been phenomenal all tournament. Is he the best 7 in the Six Nations? Well, he's got to be close. His attack work has just picked up so much over the last 2 years. Just seems a bit of a different player. So he's impressive. Anyway, Lowry scores showing his speed, but just exploiting simple numbers really off a good launch play. And there is plenty of suspicion from the commentators that the replacement line-out thrower for Italy probably has played hooker before, and I think coaches are going to have to start thinking about nominating more players to cover positions in the front row, say loose heads covering tight head and props covering hooker, to stop going down to 13 men. So I understand that's why the law is there. Anyway, probably towards the end of this half, Ireland are guilty of throwing the ball around a bit too much, a bit too loose, but they do know as long as they keep it alive, the space is going to be there. And indeed, Amani goes in towards the end there. Just before half-time, Italy do get a penalty in a really good position, actually, but they're just so knackered from being down to 13 men. They kick the points just to give them a few more points, so they're on 6. Just shows that they know the game is up, even though, they're not giving up. Anyway, from now on, it's just form an orderly queue, how many people score, and I'm not even going to bother describing the tries. I just don't see the point. We're not really learning much from them. But Lowe strolls in, then Lowry. Then there's actually a big chunk where Italy defend well, Ireland makes some mistakes, and it's 15 minutes till the next try. But then they get 3 in the last 10 minutes with Baird-Lowe and Treadwell to get them over 50, which is probably what they needed. Yeah, I think they maybe could have scored a few more, but I think it's a hard game to manage. They were always going to win by a lot. That bonus point and the big points difference could be really significant. If France lose a game and Ireland keep winning, those bonus points, that points difference, could be the difference between winning the championship. So it'd be interesting to see if that red card has a big play on the championship. And finally, for Italy, they've really got to put up a good show next time out versus Scotland. They're at home, their last home game. I think this is their chance, not because Scotland are a poor team, but Scotland have come off the back of a bad loss themselves. Italy are at home. They need to keep 15 players on the pitch and get close somehow. Even if it's after 60 minutes and then lose it, they've got to get this game close in some respects. Give themselves some sort of chance, please. Anyway, guys, let me know what you make of that game. I'm really not sure what to make of it. Who stood out, if anyone can stand out in that sort of game. It's not Ireland's fault. They get the job done. They move on. And I will catch you next time.